Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Yasvakat parato veha Jata nirvedatmavan Hridikritva haringeha Pravarchetsa narottamaha Yasvakat parato veha Jata nirvedatmavan Hridikritva haringeha Pravarchetsa narottamaha Jata nirvedatmavan Hridikritva haringeha Pravarchetsa Jata nirvedatmavan Hridikritva haringeha Pravarchetsa narottamaha Jata nirvedatmavan Jata nirmedatmavan Hridim kritva harim gehat Pravarchetsa narottamaha Pravarchetsa narottamaha Mataji Yasvakat parato veha Jata nirvedatmavan Hridikritva harim gehat Pravarchetsa narottamaha Rajeshwari Jata nirveda class will Yasvakat parato vedha Jata nirvedatmavan Hridim kritva harim gehat Pravarchetsa narottamaha So please come forward. Matajis can come forward. Yeah, anyone who swakat by his own awakening, parataha or by hearing from another, iha here in this world, jata becomes nirveda, indifferent to material attachment, atmavan consciousness, hridi without the heart, kritva having been taken by, harim the personality of Godhead. Gehat, from home. Pravarjet, goes away. Sa, he. Narauttama, the first class human being. He is certainly a first class man who awakens and understands either by himself or from others the falsity and misery of this material world, and thus leaves home and depends fully on the personality of Godhead residing within his heart. So please repeat after me. He is certainly a first class man who awakens and understands either by himself or from others the falsity and misery of this material world, and thus leaves home and depends fully on the personality of Godhead residing within his heart. There are three classes of transcendentalists, namely the Dhira, or one who is not disturbed by being away from family association; one in the renounced order of life, a sannyasi by frustrated sentiment; a sincere devotee of the Lord who awakens God consciousness by hearing and chanting and leaves home, depending completely on the personality of Godhead who resides within his heart. The idea is that the renounced order of life after a frustrated life of sentiment in the material world may be the stepping stone on the path of self-realization, but the real perfection of path of liberation is attained when one is practiced to depend fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who lives in everyone's heart as Paramatma. One may live in the darkest jungle alone, out of home, but a steadfast devotee knows very well that he is not alone. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is within him, and he can protect him, his sincere devotee, in any awkward circumstance. One should therefore practice devotional service at home, hearing and chanting the holy name, quality, form, pastimes, entourage, etc. in the association with the pure devotees. And this practice will help one awaken God consciousness in proportion to one's sincerity of purpose. One who desires material benefit by such devotional activities can never depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he sits in everyone's heart, nor does the Lord give any direction to person who worship him for material gain. Such materialistic devotee may be blessed by the Lord with material benefits, but they cannot reach the stage of first-class human being as above mentioned. There are many examples of such sincere devotees in the history of the world, especially in India, and there are our guides on the path of self-realization. Mahatma Vidura is one such great devotee of the Lord, and we should all try to follow in his lotus footsteps for self-realization. Mukham karoti vachalam pangulangai ligrim tripatam modeshi vinatari ade rupa samatana. Hare Krishna. He is certainly a first-class man who awakens and understands either by himself or from others the falsity of misery of this material world, and thus leaves home and fully depends on the personality of Godhead residing within his heart. Hare Krishna. So what is the meaning of this verse? He is certainly a first-class man. So we have to elevate to the status of a human being. So Kannada translation ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ, so in English ಅಲ್ಲಿ class ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. So all the other boys, you can all come in the front. Bharat, Dinesh, Shiva. So what is the meaning of this verse? He is certainly a first-class man. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So one should be able to perceive the evil effects of birth, death, old age and disease. So such a person is said to be situated in knowledge. Hare Krishna. Treble, increase it. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Boss low. Hare Krishna. Treble increase. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So he is certainly a first class man who seeks, who either learns by his own experience or he learns from others. So certainly people in this world, some people are more advanced on the path of self-realization, certain people are more advanced in terms of their understanding of the falsity of this material world. They know the nature of this material world, and it is required for the people who are not so enlightened to take knowledge from the people who are enlightened. So therefore, we have to somehow or the other, we have to understand the nature of this material world. So there was one Macmillan. He was a person who during the reign of British Empire, so he went all over India. He visited around 300-400 villages in India. From north, east, west, south, all the 4 directions he visited the entire India. So this is some 300 years back. And he came to a conclusion about the Indians. So what is the conclusion he came about is very, very interesting to note. He said, I don't find even a single person who is dishonest in India. So if somebody sees the current situation of India, people may be surprised by this statement, that how come there cannot be any dishonest person in the entire India. So then he said, I know what is the reason behind it also, why people are so honest in India. He said that because people read Ramayana and Mahabharata. They depend on these 2 scriptures. They read Ramayana and Mahabharata, which means they were all devotees of the Lord. Vede Ramayanascheva Purane Bharate Tata Adi Antyecha Madhyecha Sarvatra Harikiyate. What is Ramayana and Mahabharata all about? So it is the glorification of the Supreme Lord, His activities, His pastimes, name, fame, pastimes and activities of the Lord. So unless what will Ramayana and Mahabharata do to us? What is so interesting about it? Hare Krishna. So what is so interesting about Ramayana and Mahabharata? What will Ramayana and Mahabharata do for us? Yasyam Vaishuyamanaha Krishna Paramapurushe Bhaktir Utpadayate Pumsan Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. Hare Krishna. So Yasyam Vaishuyamanaha Krishna Paramapurushe Bhaktir Utpadayate Pumsan Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. So when you hear from Ramayana and Mahabharata, what happens is that Bhaktir Utpadayate Pumsam. So it develops bhakti in the heart of a living entity. So Shoka, Moha and Bhaya is altogether gone. So when somebody hears Krishna Katha from a pure source, what happens? So the ignorance in the heart is dissipated and bhakti awakens in the heart of the living entity. So this is what happens when you hear from Ramayana and Mahabharata from an authorized source. This is how people were very, very honest. So honest and sincere. So everybody's path back to home, back to Godhead is guaranteed. So when you read these 3 scriptures, what will Ramayana help? How does Ramayana help? Ramayana will help us to lead a life in this world. Then what will Mahabharata do? Mahabharata will give you the understanding as to how to live in this world. And what will Srimad Bhagavatam do? Srimad Bhagavatam, it will help you leave this world. What will Ramayana do? How to lead in this world. Lead in this world in the sense, so you should become an example. So just like Sri Ramachandra, he himself was an example for how to live in this, how to lead in this world. So then Mahabharata, how to live in this world. Right? So you cannot be too innocent also. So how to live in this world. Then Srimad Bhagavatam will teach you how to live this world. So all these three things are important. So so it was mentioned that Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, so what did he learn? So what was the education he got? What education he got? He read from Ramayana and Mahabharata. He read only two scriptures. All through his life, only two scriptures he read. Ramayana and Mahabharata. He built a huge empire. Right? So the British system of education makes us how to become slaves in this world. But Ramayana and Mahabharata will teach you how to live and lead in this world. So this is how this knowledge is very, very practical. Don't think that this knowledge is something is many people call it as a mythology. Mythology is a very wrong term to use for Ramayana and Mahabharata. So it is not mythology. It is Purana. Purana means something very, very old. So mythology is mythology means, what is the meaning of mythology? Dinesh, Shiva, what is the meaning of mythology? Myth means something false. Imagination. Imaginative story. It is not an imaginative story. It is itihasa. Itihasa means history. Some Purana means something very old, recorded histories are called as Puranas. Purana means, so Hindi ka term malum hai na? Hindi term. What does it say? Hindi? Purana. Purana means very old. Purana means very, very old. Recorded histories are called as Puranas. That is how the original term is coming from. Purana. Itihas. Itihas means history. So Ramayana and Mahabharata are called as history and old recorded histories. Itihasa. So that is how, so these itihasas, they become very, very important. So there are the rules of many, many kings in the past also, but only the recorded histories of those pious kings who were all great devotees of the Lord, from whose life we can take lessons. How to lead in this world, how to live in this world, and how to leave this world. All these three things are important. These are the recorded histories what we see in Ramayana, Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is what is required. This knowledge is required. So somebody can become an emperor like Shivaji Maharaj from nowhere, from nothing. How did he start building the kingdom? From nothing actually. So he had the knowledge as to how to live and lead in this world. Okay. So he was also a great disciple of Tukaram Maharaj. So by learning from Tukaram Maharaj, he also got liberated from this world. So therefore, unless people know how to live in this world, it is going to become very, very difficult. Hare Krishna. So there are three classes of transcendentalists. The Dhira, or one who is not disturbed by being away from family association. One in the renounced order of life, a sannyasi by frustrated sentiment. A sincere devotee of the Lord who awakens God consciousness by hearing and chanting and leaves home, depending completely on the personality of Godhead, who reside in his hearts. Okay, so first we will see who is a Dhira. Dhira, or one who is not disturbed by being away from the family association. So the whole material world is designed in such a way, and the design is also given by the Lord. So who created this material world? Krishna created this. For whose sake? So was Krishna really interested in creating this material world? So many people may accuse the Lord. So they may say that, so if God is really there, then why he created a world with so much suffering? So it is not that the Lord created this world. The Lord did not have any interest in creating this world. But the Jivas had an adamant desire to lord it over the material nature. So therefore the Lord created this world for our sake, because we had a desire to enjoy this material world independent of Krishna. So therefore, whatever actions and reactions we reap here in this material world, we should take responsibility. So because it is not the Lord who created this world out of His will, because we had the desire to enjoy this material world, so the Lord has given us a situation to enjoy this material world. But out of causeless mercy, the Lord is also either coming personally or He is sending His pure devotees. English okay. So He created this world for our sake. So therefore He also gave us the knowledge. He also gave us the knowledge as to how to live this world also. So He knows this world is a place of suffering. Dukkhalayam ashashvata. So the world is a place of misery. Dukkhalayam ashashvata. So how to... So therefore the Lord sends His pure devotees time and again, and He has also given us the knowledge as to how we can get out of this world. So He sends His pure representatives, or the Lord comes personally. This knowledge of how to leave this world is taught by the Lord Himself. So by the Varnashrama Dharma. By following the process of Varnashrama Dharma, one is given a knowledge of Chaturvarna Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhagasha. There are 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. So the first 25 years of the life is meant for learning under a guru. So that is what here they are talking about. Either one has to learn by his own experience, has to learn from others. Therefore the system is given that one has to spend the first 25 years of his life under the lotus feet of a Sri Guru. So to learn this art of renouncing this world. So because as long as we are attached in this world, so we have to transmigrate through the cycle of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. The transmigration is inevitable. So therefore one has to learn the art of detaching from this world. So what is the source of detachment in this world? How are we attached to this world? So it is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that Pumsa Striya Maitari Bhavametam Yat Hridaya Granthir Yat Taro Hridaya Granthi Mahu. So it is mentioned that the attraction between man and woman is the cause of bondage in this material world. So as long as we have this attraction and attachment for the opposite sex, what will happen? Ata kshetra griha kshetra sutapta vittai janasya mohoham aham mameti. So how one develops attachment in this world? When there is an attraction between man and woman, then a person thinks about sutta, vitta, apta. So he thinks about money, then he thinks about a house, then he thinks about other necessities of life. So therefore what happens? So janasya mohoham aham mameti. Then he thinks of me and mine in this material world. That's how attachment develops in this world. So therefore the Lord has given us a design as to how we should lead our life in this material world. Therefore the first 25 years of the life is given as brahmacharya, where he has to undergo the training under a bona fide spiritual master. So in that first 25 years of life, so he learns how to live and lead the life in this material world. So therefore when we see the entire Varnashrama, we have 4 divisions. 25 years we have brahmacharya, 25 years we have grihasthashrama, 25 years we have vanaprastha, 25 years we have sannyasa. In this 100 years, only 25 years of the life he is allowed to associate with the opposite sex. Only 25 years of it. Rest is 75 years of his life he is supposed to be away from the opposite sex. So this is how one develops detachment in this world. So now when we take up the current day scenario, all through one's life one wants to stay happily in the home. So nobody wants to leave this world. So similarly we see the example of Dhritarashtra here. How Dhritarashtra was attached to the family life. So even after losing his 100 sons, what he was planning to do? Even after losing his 100 sons, he wants to be under the shelter of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So against whom he plotted all through his life, how to kill them. So many plots were made, many conspiracies were made against the Pandavas. So but still he was happily staying under the shelter of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So this is how when we are attached to the comforts and luxuries of life, all through our life we want to stay at home. So stay under the thinking that this is the shelter, I can happily stay here forever. So therefore we need people like Vidura who can time and again come and enlighten us. So what did Vidura do for Yudhishthira Maharaj, for Dhritarashtra? So Vidura was a pure devotee of the Lord. He had no other attachments in the world. So he could have happily stayed away from home, and he actually, when the Mahabharata war started, Vidura renounced everything and he went to the Tirtha Kshetra. So because in Dwapara Yuga, what is the process of attaining perfection? Kritiya dhyayato Vishnu treta yajato make dvapare paricharyaya. So in Satya Yuga, people used to meditate on Vishnu for thousands and thousands of years, because they had a very long lifespan of 1 lakh years. So somebody wants to attain perfection in Satya Yuga, they could take the process of meditation. But in Dwapara Yuga, so in Treta Yuga it is yagna by the performance of Vedic sacrifices. And in Krita Yuga and in Dwapara Yuga, people had to go to places of pilgrimage. That is how Vidura went to different places of pilgrimage. And finally, what did he do? He came back again to Dhritarashtra. He came back again to the royal palace of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Why did he come back to the palace again? So now he thought, anyway Duryodhana and his party are killed. Now I can enjoy happily here. That's the reason he came here. Why did Vidura come back again to Yudhishthira Maharaj? Because he had only one purpose, that he wanted to liberate Dhritarashtra. So this is what it means to be affectionate. There is attachment and affection. So who had attachment towards whom? Dhritarashtra had attachment towards Duryodhana. So did that attachment help him to save Duryodhana? So that attachment actually ruined him, ruined his whole dynasty. Because when somebody is attached in this material world, so his heart will become steel framed. So suppose when your heart is like steel, what happens? When you take a needle and pierce it, will it penetrate? It doesn't penetrate. So the heart has to be soft. If something has to penetrate, it has to be, suppose you are making a mala, garland. So because the flowers are soft we can pierce and penetrate. Suppose if it is like steel framed, what happens? Even if you pierce the needle, it will not penetrate. So therefore, there were two Mahajanas, Bhishma Dev and Vidura. They were giving instructions to Dhritarashtra. But was he in a position to receive the instructions? Because his heart was hard like steel because of the attachment to this material world. Even Duryodhana was saying that, I know what is dharma, but I cannot follow it, because he was attached to this material world. So as long as our hearts are hard like steel, so we cannot penetrate, the instructions of the Mahajanas will not penetrate in our heart. So we have to make provision, our heart, we have to make way for the mercy of the Lord to descend through the instructions of the spiritual master and the pure devotees. So that is how Vidura, so he came back to Dhritarashtra. He thought at least this fellow would have changed now, because he has lost all his 100 sons all through his life, whatever he was trying for. Ultimately now he would be frustrated. So let me give a last try. So for him, so he wanted to come back and give the last try to change Dhritarashtra. So because he had affection for Dhritarashtra, he came back. That was the only reason. So therefore, mother has attachment or affection for the child. Parents have attachment or affection for the child. Attachment or affection. So parents who have affection for the child, what they do? Suppose the child, tomorrow is exam, he wants to go and play cricket. So what will the parents do? Will they allow him to go and play? So you correct him, reprimand him, so that, why are you doing that? Why the parents are doing that? Huh? So for the welfare of the child, because they have the welfare of the child at the heart. So why the Lord sends the three kinds of miseries, Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika Klesha. These three kinds of miseries. So why the Lord sends these three kinds of miseries? When the Lord sends these three kinds of miseries in this material world, people complain why Lord has created a world of suffering. This is again the affection of the Lord. So because he is looking for our ultimate welfare. Our ultimate welfare is in going back to Krishna. So therefore, through the agency of Maya Devi, so what the Lord is doing, through the agency of Maya Devi, he is sending these different kinds of miseries, so that we can look towards him. So where are these miseries coming from? So she is indirectly trying to help the jiva to surrender to Krishna. So Maya Devi is also doing a thankless job. In the form of misery, she is helping the jiva to surrender to Krishna. So this is how we have to take the miseries of this material world. So we have to either hold the mercy or avoid the mercy. So the mercy of the Lord comes in the form of rain showers. So when it comes in the form of rain showers, so what people do? Either they hold an umbrella or they hold like this. So very hardly people in the world hold the mercy like this, right? So when the rainwater comes, how many people hold like this? We try to keep like this, no? You want to avoid the rain. So a person who is knowledgeable, so the miseries of the world are accepted with gratitude. So it's a very, very difficult lesson to learn, very difficult to take up this, right? When miseries come, how many of us hold like this? Very difficult, no? So, but we all want to avoid miseries. So, why people take shelter of different devatas, different demigods? Is because we all want to avoid the miseries of this world. So, the whole point of Srimad Bhagavatam is to accept Krishna. So, in the way he is giving us the mercy. So, the whole point is to understand that this nature of this material world is to accept the mercy of the Lord. Accept the mercy of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So, let us understand the nature of Kali Yuga by this one incident. So, there was during Yudhishthira Maharaj's reign, so whenever people had trouble, they would come and approach Bhima. So Bhima was the problem solver. So whenever people had fights and other things, he would come and solve the problems. So surprisingly, he had to face a situation where one Brahmana came. So Brahmana came and told Bhima, see Bhima, so I have a problem. The problem is that when I have put a fence around my field, And what the fence is doing? The fence is grazing the neighboring field. So I don't know what kind of a problem is this. Can you solve this problem for me? Then Bhima said, this is a very strange situation. So I cannot solve this problem. You can better go to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So then another Brahmana came. So he said, so when I am trying to, I am pouring water into the pots, and the pots are getting only, pots are full now, and when I am pouring the water back into the pots, it is only getting half filled. So then Bhima is becoming puzzled again. He said, I cannot solve this problem. You better go to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Then the third person came with another set of problem. So he said that, I saw an elephant passing through an eye of a needle, but the tail of the elephant got stuck. The elephant is passing, but the tail is getting stuck. Hare Krishna. So then finally there was another Brahmana who came. He said that I saw a person dragging a huge mountain with just a small piece of thread. So can you solve this problem for me? Then what did he say? So then better you go to Yudhishthira Maharaj only. So then finally all the four of them, they went to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So then they asked him all these queries. So so Yudhishthira Maharaj told, this is going to be the nature of the people in the age of Kali Yuga. So for the first puzzle, what was the first problem? The fence is grazing is entering the neighboring field. So here people whom you go for protection, they themselves become the source of trouble for you. So people in this material world sometimes go and approach the influential people and the politicians for solving the problems of life. So what happens? They themselves, people who are supposed to award protection, they themselves are what they are doing. They themselves are creating trouble to people. So people have voted in democratic government. What people do? People elect the politicians, and the politicians in turn loot the people. Right? So second problem. What happened? What was happening in the second problem? So water is poured into the pots, and when it is poured back, what happens? Only half of it is getting full. So what is the problem? Parents, teachers, what they do? They give lot of love and affection to the children, but the children are not reciprocating. Children's parents or students, they are not reciprocating in the same manner. So that is the nature of people in the age of Kali Yuga. So what happens to people in general in the age of Kali Yuga? Parents give affection, and when the children grow up, they gently send the parents to old age homes. They desert parents, right? So this is extreme case. At least, or they are not treated very nicely when they become old. So this is what happens in Kali Yuga. Then what is the third story? An elephant is penetrating through the eye of the needle, but the tail is getting stuck. Which means people who are very influential, they can commit many crimes and offences. They can enter the jail and they can come back also. But people who commit small crimes, what happens to them? They are put in jail, right? People who commit small offences are put in jail. So people who commit big crimes, they can, by the influence of money, they can escape. So and what happens? What was the last problem? With a small thread, he was able to a sadhu was able to pull a huge mountain. What is the meaning of that? So people in Kali Yuga, they are usually very sinful. They have heaps and heaps of sinful activities. So how that small man was able to pull a huge mountain? Huh? So by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the huge mountain of sinful activities can be very easily eradicated in the age of Kali Yuga. So therefore, what is the process for the age of Kali Yuga is to chant the holy names of the Lord. So by chanting the holy names of the Lord, so one can very easily eliminate mountain like sinful activities. So and people can take to the path of spiritual life. So the whole purpose of this human existence is to get rid of these miseries of material existence. So that can be very easily done by the process of Sankirtana. So which is a very difficult path in the age of Kali Yuga because of lot of distractions in this material world. It is very easy to get distracted in this material world. So but to attain the lotus feet of Lord is very difficult, which can be very easily done by the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the first one is the Dhira, the second one is a person who has taken to the renounced order of life because of frustrated sentiment, and the third person is the devotee of the Lord. So the second method is an indirect method. So people may become frustrated by understanding the nature of this material world, and then they can take to the path of spiritual life. But it is a very difficult path. So to take to the path of jnana, to understand the neti process, finally come to the stage of jnana yoga and understanding impersonal Brahman, it is a very difficult path. So people may become successful, may not become successful. But the path of success is assured in bhakti. So neha vikramanasosti pratyavayone vidyate swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahator bhayat. So what happens in the age of Kali Yuga, when one takes to the path of spiritual life, Hare Krishna. So when one takes to the path of spiritual life, so just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, people can become successful. Even if you are half successful, so still you are a success, because whatever devotional service activities you are doing, you need not be 100% successful. Even if you are 25% successful, that success is guaranteed. You can hold on to the success, and from in the next life you can start from the 26%. But in Kali Yuga, but in the other processes, if you take to the path of jnana, ashtanga yoga, a person has to become 100% successful, or else he has to begin from wherever he stopped. If he takes to the path of jnana marga and ashtanga yoga, when he gets a next birth, he has to again begin the process from zero. But in the path of devotional service, if you take to the path, if you have stopped at 5%, you will start from 6%. If you have stopped at 28%, you will start from 21st. If you have stopped at 50, you will start from 51. So your success is guaranteed, your success is retained. It is having a permanent bank balance. It is like having a permanent bank balance. So therefore, take to the path of devotional service and the success is assured in your life. So there is no question of neha vikramanasosi pratyavayano vidyate swalpamapi asya dharmasya. Even if you do little devotional service, success is guaranteed. So therefore, path of devotional service is a very successful path. So and direct methods are always successful in the age of Kali Yuga. So therefore, Kali Yuga, it is like a double-edged sword. You can either be successful or you can become completely degraded in the age of Kali Yuga. So by taking to indirect methods may not work out in the age of Kali Yuga. But direct methods by taking to the path of devotional service are always successful. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, the Lord has given us the guaranteed process. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama iva kevalam, kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. So many people may be interested in all other secondary methods. So like jnana, dhyana. So many people may say that we may take to the path of dhyana and become successful. So So meditation is the only path. So, and many other pseudo spiritual methods are also becoming very popular, because people in the age of Kali Yuga, they want some simple method by which they will become cheated. So why so many cheating methods are there? Because people want to become cheated. They want to take some easy process and want to become cheated. But Lord is assuring us the guaranteed path of devotional service. So people should take to the path of devotional service and become successful. So any person who is an intelligent person should take to the path of Bhakti Yoga and become successful. Hare Krishna. So we have great examples like Ajamila, so who performed devotional service at one point of time in his life. When he was young, he performed devotional service. Later on, he fell down from the path. So what happened to Ajamila at the end of the life? He was somehow successful, not somehow, by the arrangement of the Lord, he was successful in remembering Narayana at the end of his life. By remembering Narayana at the end of life, what happened to him? He was awarded another chance. Second chance was given. So many of us sitting here are all given a second chance. So don't think that so many chances are given, but we are not successfully utilizing. Every time we are giving some excuse or the other, not to take to the path of devotional service seriously, right? So from the story of Ajamila, it is not that we are all given a second chance. We are all given many chances to become serious and successful in spiritual life, but we are not taking it seriously. But Ajamila, what he did, Ajamila took the spiritual life very seriously after he was visited by the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas. So he became very serious. So unless we become serious in spiritual life, we will go nowhere. So we will all be rotating again in this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi cycle. So therefore, we should all take this path, just like Ajamila took it very seriously. We should all take to the path of spiritual life very seriously. So success is assured on the path of devotional service. Many devotees in the past, like Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, so Parikshit Maharaj, so then Yayati, Bharat Maharaj, they all became successful and they all went back to Godhead. Vitaraga Bhayakrodha Manmaya Mam Upashitaha Bhavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Mad Bhava Magataha. So Krishna is saying in the 4th chapter, 10th verse of Bhagavad Gita, many people in the past, they very sincerely took to the path of devotional service. They all went back home, back to Godhead. So anybody who follows in the path of the Mahajanas, they will all be successful and they will all go back home, back to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Nantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So anybody has any questions? Yes, Bandita Mataji. Brahmacharya 25 years, Grihastha 25 years, Vanaprastha 25 years and yeah. Yeah. So this 25 years of life. Yeah. Actually, yeah, in the Vedic system, yeah. So actually in Vedic system, I'll tell you Mataji, what is the Vedic system? The Vedic, according to the life in Vedic system, so a brahmachari gets trained in the Gurukula till the age of 25. So then he is allowed to marry. So some brahmacharis, they remain brahmacharis throughout their lives. And many of them get married. So when they take to the path, of Grihastha Ashrama, so where do the Matajis get trained? the Matajis get trained at home. So the mothers, they become the teachers of the female child. So and they train them how to serve the husband. And the system is that when a boy is properly trained in brahmacharya, he becomes a responsible grihastha. Responsible not only in taking care of the material needs of the family, but he will also guide them spiritually. So and whatever punya, spiritual punya is done by the grihastha, 50% will automatically go to the wife. 50% of the punya automatically goes to the wife just by serving the husband. So therefore they have to sincerely serve the husband. That training is required. How to take care of the family, how to take care of the household affairs, how to serve the husband, how to help him progress in spiritual life. So this training is required for the Matajis. So and when the husband is serious in spiritual life, so they attain success in spiritual life, and both of them, they'll go back to Vaikuntha. Just like in the case of Prithu Maharaj was a very serious devotee, and his wife Archi, just by serving the husband, she also went back to Vaikuntha. So Dhruva Maharaj was a very, very serious devotee. So along with Dhruva Maharaj's wife, his mother, they all went back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, a proper training is required. So the whole Varnashrama system is all about training. So because training can be given only to human beings. And Varnashrama Dharma will help you elevate to the status of a human being. So practice devotional service. So all 4 ashramas are meant for training only. So even in spiritual life also, people think that we come, we chant Hare Krishna and we can all go back. So that is true. But in the whole process, we are also getting trained here. So as to how to perform devotional service in the age of Kali Yuga. So how we can take to the process very seriously. And we should all understand that at different levels we are getting trained. So the whole process of Varnashrama is to get trained as to how to go back to Krishna. So because people with conditioned souls in this material world come with Bhoga Pravritti. Bhoga Pravritti means they want to enjoy this material world independent of Krishna. So we are all coming with Bhoga Pravritti. So and what does the training do for us? It helps us build Seva Vritti. Seva Vritti means how to serve. So because to serve is our constitutional position. So here we all come with a Bhoga Vritti to enjoy this material world. And ultimately what is the consequence? We all suffer in this material world because we want to take the position of Krishna. Krishna is the only enjoyer. So, and we are all as jivas are meant to cooperate in his enjoyment. What is the position of the jiva in this material world is to cooperate in the enjoyment of the Lord. By cooperating with the enjoyment of the Lord, we all become happy because that is our nature. Our nature is to assist the Lord in his enjoyment. So that is our actual nature. So by doing that, we naturally become happy. But what we do is that we all want to enjoy independent of Krishna. When we try to enjoy independent of Krishna, we get entangled by the laws of Maya Devi. And we transmigrate from one life to another. So the whole training process given in the Varnashrama Dharma is to become servants of the Lord, to develop this Seva Vritti and give up Bhoga Vritti. So that's how mothers, by their own example, they teach their daughters how to serve the family, and naturally they all become affectionate to the family members. Hare Krishna. So everybody, so when you see in the case of a family, so everybody becomes naturally obedient to the mother. Naturally, even the husband. So when there is some tussle between 2 members of the family, usually the female members of the family, they come and solve the problem most of the time. Because both of them have natural respect towards the woman, towards the female members of the family, because of their attitude of servitude. So because they have developed this attitude of service towards the family. Hare Krishna. So how the mothers become very, very respectable and adorable for all the children is because of their service attitude, because of their Niswartha Seva. So this is how we develop Seva Vritti, and gradually that Seva Vritti is inclined towards the Lord also. So because the Lord is the center of the entire family. Who is the center of the entire family? So in Varnashrama system, who is the center of the entire system? Varnashrama Acharavet Purushena Paramam Puman Vishnu Aradhyate Panta Nanyata Tosha Karana. The whole Varnashrama system is designed to, how the whole Varnashrama system is designed? Is to make Vishnu the center. So to please Vishnu and make Vishnu the center of our lives. Individually also we make Vishnu the center of life. The whole Varnashrama is also centered around Vishnu. So that is how everybody makes their path back home, back to Godhead. So that is how the system is designed. Mataji? Still you have a question, you can ask. Closer, mic closer.
Three types of transcendental.
One is there.
So last section, Prabhu said that we don't need like any living creature in who are praying to God or any living creature in a Vrindavan. Are they examples?
Dhira is I'll tell you who are the examples of Dhira.
Dhira can be human being also.
Yeah. Dhira is any person who is self-controlled, who is able to control his mind and senses. He is considered a Dhira.
Not only the plants, animals, and
No. First, all these are applicable to the human beings.
Dhira
Sir.
is not applicable to
No. Only the living entities who have attained the human status of life, the Varnashrama Dharma is applicable to them. So, and in the human form of life, one who is able to control his mind and senses, he is considered a Dhira. So, and second is people who are Dhiras, so they can take to the order of sannyasa, and after taking to the order of sannyasa, they can attain the stage of Nirakara Brahman. So they can come to the stage of Nirakara Brahman. Nirakara, impersonal absolute truth. So then a devotee is a person who is completely surrendered to the Lord and serving the Supreme. So in Kali Yuga, all the indirect methods cannot work because to attain success in the indirect methods will take a very long time. Just like Kardava Muni, he performed penance for 10,000 years before he saw Lord Vishnu. So such a long duration of life is not available in Kali Yuga. So therefore indirect methods, it is not that indirect methods do not assure success, but they take a very long duration of life. And moreover, unless one person attains 100% success, so there is no guarantee of success in the other methods. But in Kali Yuga, the direct methods really work. So someone has to take the direct method of pleasing Vishnu. So like in the process of Navavidha Bhakti, how to attain Krishna is given in the process of Navavidha Bhakti. So Navavidha Bhakti is Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Pada Sevana, Archana, Vandana, Dasya, Sakya, Atma Nivedana. So 9 different processes are mentioned. But amongst the 9 different processes, so the direct method of chanting the holy name. Chanting the holy name is considered the topmost in Kali Yuga. So therefore, in many places in the scriptures, the emphasis is given lot on chanting the holy names of the Lord. So Nama Japa. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gataravata. So therefore, people have to take the direct methods of pleasing the Lord and attain success in life. So the indirect methods will take a longer duration of life, so which is not, the success is not assured. But direct methods will assure success. So that's what Chaitanya Charitamrita also says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, so भक्तिर मध्य सर्वश्रेष्ठ नवविध भक्ति दारे मध्य सर्वश्रेष्ठ नाम संकीर्तन निरपराध नामलोये पाय प्रेमधन. So anybody who offenselessly chants the holy name of the Lord is assured of the Panchama Purushartha. What is the Panchama Purushartha? Attaining love of God. So therefore, take to the direct method, and it is very, very easy and successful in the age of Kali Yuga.
Dhira means controlled person, right?
Dhira means controlled. He has control over his mind and senses.
So he never reacts at any situation, any condition. So
Yeah.
even in the opposite.
So in these indirect methods, in the indirect method, as we are talking about Dhira, so he has to, the first step for a person who takes to the path of Jnana Marga is that he has to take the renounced order of life. He has to take sannyas. His spiritual life begins after taking sannyas. But in the direct method of devotional service, anybody can participate in devotional service. Even a child can participate in devotional service. Even an old person at any point and any age of any point of time, he can participate in devotional service and get the benefit. But taking to the path of Jnana and Dhira, all these methods are all indirect methods. So which will take a longer duration and which cannot be practiced in the age of Kali. But anybody can participate in devotional service. Even a child can participate. Third stage. So therefore, it is recommended Kali Yuga, everybody take to the direct method only, instead of taking to the indirect methods. Hare Krishna. So anybody has any other doubts? Okay. So we can conclude. Nathraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Venudari. Wonderful. That's a gratitude. Thank you, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Some important announcements. So today is the marriage anniversary of Bharat Prabhu and Divya Mataji. Speaker.